to On the Mic with Ray White, when you share life lessons, encourage self-reflection, and equip you to take action. My name is Ray White, and I am juiced that you're taking time to listen to this episode today. And this whole podcast is all about sharing stories that engages, equips, and encourages you to step into the purpose that you've been called to do. And I'm so excited just for the opportunity to have this platform to share the stories of my life more particularly, but just experiences, trials, triumphs, and things all around that nature that can hopefully give you some encouragement and hope, and also provide you the tools to tell your own story, because you never know how your story can impact someone else's, and you don't know whether or not your story can help bridge people together and communities through hope and encouragement and belonging. So I'm super excited that you're taking this on time to listen to this episode, because we're continuing our January series called Stop Trippin'. If you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you check out the past 2 episodes of Stop Waiting and Stop Being Busy, 2 different elements that trip me up whenever I want to take action towards my goals, and no better time to talk about the things that are tripping us up than at the beginning of the year, the beginning of 2020. Because we all know that you have something that you want to accomplish, that you want to obtain, but there's a roadblock in your way that's just stopping you from getting there. So I'm just going to share a couple of my roadblocks, a couple of things that I've been thinking about that's just tripped me up, and hopefully encourage you to not trip you up too. Before we go ahead and dive into this episode, be sure that you take a moment, pause, screenshot this particular episode right now on your favorite listening device, put it in your Instagram stories, tag a friend, let them know, tag me more particularly, because I want to share it with my group too, at OTM Podcast and at Ray Devante, and let me know that you're listening. I'm really, really thankful that you're taking the time to listen to this episode, and make sure you tell a friend that here's some good content for them to encourage them to step into their purpose of what they want to accomplish this year. So, little side note to get out the way. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this episode titled Stop Scrolling. Like scrolling on social media. Stop scrolling, and I'll catch you on the other side. So we all do this. We all do this. All right. Don't play like you ain't the one late at night when you should be sleeping, scrolling through your phone. Come on now. That's how they set it up, right? That's how they set up all the social media apps, for you to be sitting there and letting the time roll by as you're just scrolling and watching other people, their dreams, their thoughts, their ideas, and you're just consuming. That is me to the T. I won't say this out loud, but I say this on the podcast, which I don't know if that's one and the same, but I'm slightly affected by my phone. It's a thing I need to change, something I need to change to 2020, but it's one of the things that really got me going in the past year, in 2019, where I found myself scrolling so much, scrolling through my phone, scrolling through people's thoughts, scrolling through videos, just on the phone all the time. And some of the times I was on my phone, I would either be with other people or with other people or by myself, bored, or just happen to reach for it every time because I'm like, I gotta need it. I gotta scroll. I gotta catch up on all the things I missed on my feeds on all the social media apps that I'm a part of, which is a lot. But it came a point that I had a thought process about my social media habits. And, I get Gary Vee stuck in my head. Social media ain't going nowhere. But how do we utilize it for our betterment? How do we utilize it to progress towards what we want to accomplish? Not just consume things just to consume things because it's there, but actually truly craft our timeline to give us what we're looking for. So for me, my timeline is really crafted on leadership. It's crafted on encouragement, personal development, personal growth, amazing stories, sports, because that's all I'm about, and public speaking and things of that nature, because it's part of my identity. It's part of the things that I want to grasp. And of course, I got all my friends, folks, and their stories and their families and their growth and things of that nature happening there. So I craft my timelines on that way. But the thought I had was, and that's been given to me or thought through quite a bit as I am stepping into this podcasting space and content creating spaces. Why am I not creating content myself? Like, why am I not producing my thoughts, producing my perspective, producing my own flavor of the topic and engaging in the discussion? Why am I just letting the discussion shower over me? Why am I not a part of it, engaging with it? And this was something that really caught me by surprise because I found myself just scrolling and not contributing. And I had to take the perspective to contribute to the conversation and not just scroll through it and let it just consume me. And also, and aside with that, with me scrolling, I felt that I was not progressing in what I wanted to accomplish. And that's not to say, I'll take that back. There was some elements of seeing other people succeeding and seeing other people putting out their successes. And I'm like, dang, bro, that should be me. Why am I not doing that? And that's not, that's like, dang, I shouldn't have that thought. I should be celebrating. I should be encouraging. I should be congratulating, which I do and I am. But I internally beat myself up because I'm like, I should be also putting to the content, putting to the conversation in that way. And instead of beating myself up, I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to do it. Why not? Put it out there. Put it out there. Put the things out there that need to be put out there and slow down on the amount of scrolling or slow down on the amount of sitting on the sidelines and being a bystander, but actually take ownership, take accountability, take responsibility, and bring value to the spaces that you're a part of. And sure, we can focus on the social media context when it comes to that, but that literally goes with everything and anything in life. And as an athlete, there's something I remember quite often was, you can't be watching the game when you're in the game. As a wide receiver, oftentimes, we would run our routes, we would have our plays, and we all have our assignments. And one of those assignments was also blocking. And one of the things that we had to do is ensure that our guy, the corner or the safety or the linebacker that we had to block needed to be blocked. We couldn't be watching the play as it goes because the defender is going to go get the ball. And I'm sitting on the sideline watching. And then if I'm sitting on the side, I'm in the game watching my defender tackle the running back or go get the play or what have you. And why am I in the game if I'm watching it? I need to be playing. If I'm in the game, I'm playing in the game. I'm contributing. I'm bringing value to it. I'm owning up to what my responsibility is and taking action in that space. And that's the same concept that we all need to take in everything that we're a part of. If you are a part of a team, or if you are at your workspace, or if you're on social media, you need to bring value to that space and add to it, not just let it pass you by and be a bystander and just sit on the sidelines and not provide any type of value to the discussion. And I'm not saying that social media is terrible. Go back to that point, because it's good. Yeah, social media can be good. Like anything and everything in life can be utilized for good. It's just something that I know for me that I found myself doing more scrolling than progressing, or more scrolling than contributing. And a lot of times I was just contributing. I wasn't contributing to what I wanted to contribute to. I was just there. I was just there, not a better way to put that. So it came to a point where I just needed to put up and shut up. I needed to I couldn't allow myself just to watch things go by and actually step in and take action with it. And that's a lot of where this podcast came from. That's a lot of where you see me active on social media came from, is because I found myself just sitting and not contributing. And I just didn't want that to be a part of my story either. So with anything and everything, I'm thinking about, okay, how can I stop being a scroller? How can I stop being a bystander and stop being somebody just watching and actually put my skin in the game and take action and be a part of the work, be a part of the cause, and bring value to that space and learn from that as well. That's the mindset that I'm working on taking. I've been taking quite a bit and seeing opportunities to step into it with confidence, Even though there might be some fear of rejection, or fear of, God, unfortunately somebody don't like a tweet or somebody doesn't even, acknowledge it or whatever, like not letting that stop me from stepping into that space and saying, here's my truth, or here's what I believe, or here's the value I want to bring. And this is the importance of that in the process of doing that and the value that brings into doing that. It's important for us to do this because nobody's going to do this for us. Nobody's going to do that for us. Nobody's going to tell us to, well, actually, people will tell us to take responsibility, take action, take ownership. But if it's something that you say that you want to accomplish, if it's a goal that you set for yourself, nobody's going to do that goal for you. Nobody's going to take that action for you. You have to be the one to take that action. You have to take that responsibility and ownership into that. And being an owner allows you to dictate how you will react and respond to certain situations rather than just being somebody that's just watching. If you're owning it, you know how to not to say you need to change the narrative every time. Well, changing the narrative actually is good. You should change the narrative, but in a way that provides value. Again, I'm bringing back to that point, that bring value to the space that you're a part of. And so we all need to take a hard look at the things that we are doing, that we want to contribute to, and decide whether or not we actually are contributing to those things, or are we even just providing value to that space, and make some changes so that we can do that. And I know that I'm not there yet. Like, I haven't arrived and said that now I move past the scrolling. I don't even scroll anymore. I just post and I bounce. I don't do that. There's many days where I'm just like, yo, what happened? Like, I've been on my phone for minutes. Where everybody go? Like that's not something that I want to continue to do in my time frame. But it is a thought process where I sit down and I'm like, okay, I've been on my phone for a long time. I need to go do something, or I need to go, either go do something else that's adding value or add value to what I'm been scrolling on and actually produce something, contribute something in that space. So again, how do you do this? How do you transition your thought process and mindset to become from a scroller to a producer, from a bystander to an owner, from a watcher to an actual doer? First thing, you got to identify and define. Identify and define, what does it look like to move from point A to point B? How do you move from a scroller to a producer? You identify the actions that you want to contribute to and what it takes to move forward into that space. So for me, I just had to make sure I mapped out what success looks like and bring clarity to that particular space, so that I'm not just doing things just to do things, but there's a point to my engagement. There's a point to my involvement and my decision to own certain aspects of the work that I produce. The next thing we got to do is know and limit. So when I come by this, this means like just be aware of when you are transitioning or sliding to and from a scroller and a producer. Like, when are you finding yourself more on one end of the scale than the other, and being able to find that balance. And that balance is going to be something different for everybody. Some people can recognize within themselves when they've been on their phones for quite some time, just scrolling and not actually adding to the conversation, or just involved in like present in a space, but not really contributing to that space. And then there's also some people who, like, all they do is contribute. All they do is produce. And it's like, yo, take a step back, listen. Something I talked about in my undergrad classes was knowing when to step up and step back. Knowing when to take space and when to give space. And it's a constant balance of self-awareness that we need to have, of knowing when we are in one context more than the other, and finding that balance. And it's important for all of us to do that. So being able to know that awareness and know where those camps are, and then being able to define and have that limit to where you can shift between one or the other, depending on your position on the scale or the spectrum that's been created in that. So being able to know and limit after you identify and define your positioning within the scrolling and producing spectrum. And then the third one is to reflect and act. And this is a key one for me at all times, right? It's like, as you are producing, as you are owning something and providing some value and context to the spaces that you're in, you're reflecting on those things. You're taking a step back and seeing like, okay, how did that register? How did that I feel? How did I feel do that? How did that land? Did that do anything? Did that stir any the direction that I wanted to get to? And then that helps switch your strategy. That helps change your positioning to then have a different game plan or go with the same game plan moving forward. So being able to take the step back and reflect and seek feedback and being able to do some reviewing of the things that you're producing so that your next action can be more aligned or more in the same sweet spot that you've been giving on a regular basis. So to, again, move from scroller to producer, first you need to identify what that looks like for you and what success looks like and define that in that context. Then you need to know and have self-awareness in that space and be able to put limits so that you can move and fluctuate between one or the other. And then finally, take the steps to reflect and to act as you're scrolling and as you're producing so that you are providing value to the context that you're in. So the call to action I want to give to y'all is to identify what it is that you want and should be an owner in. What do you want to own? What do you want to produce? How do you want to show up in the world? And think about how you can move from becoming a scroller, somebody who's just on their phones all the time and not providing value or providing context, to a producer. Because what we don't want to do is to continue to watch other people advance and have other people watch other people advance around you while you're not taking action on yourself. So before we end that, I just want to make sure that there's no shame. I feel like I say it all the time. There's no shame in any of this, right? It's like not shaming anybody for being in one camp or the other. It's more so of an opportunity to evaluate where you are in position to all of this, because we just need to be able to produce some things, to own some things, to take ownership and take action in the areas. And again, if you are looking in this new year and haven't taken that first step towards that yet, this is a great opportunity to do that. It's a great chance to do that. I really want y'all to take the opportunity to really evaluate your position, your presence in all spaces, in virtual and physical, and be able to transition from becoming a watcher to a doer, from a bystander to an owner, from a scroller to a producer. Yes. Stop scrolling. Stop it. Man, I got to remind myself about this one on a regular basis. I just got to put the phone down. Put the phone down, or just do something that's valuable. Even if it's on the phone, produce something. Put something out there. Content, thoughts, whatever that may be. Or just put it down and go do something else. Because oftentimes that just sucks up so much of my time. I can't make it to the goals that I've set out for myself. So I'm really excited to step into this thing. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is no shade to anybody. There's no shade to your social media usage. Hopefully it's an encouragement for you to know if you know what this next year looks like, how do you set yourself up for success to meet that and step into that with confidence? So if it is being on social media, great. How are you guiding into the conversation? How are you putting your perspective out there and not just being consumed by the perspectives of others that are being told to you on your timeline? How do you craft the environment so that you are getting the things that you need out of that space? So as a reminder, a call to action is to think about how you can move from a scroller to a producer, how you move from a bystander to an owner. And I just want you to reflect on this question. What can you do to stop scrolling? And what can you do to contribute and add to the actions that you want to set up to meet your goals for this upcoming year?